Protective styling is a major thing that grew my hair to butt length. In fact, if protective styling wasn't a thing, I am pretty sure that my hair would not be this long. If your goal is to grow your hair long very fast, protective styling can help you get this. And today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to use protective styling to grow your hair longer step by step. Now, the first thing you have to know is the difference between protective styles and low manipulation styles. The goal of protective styles is to keep your ends. Now, the ends of your hair are the oldest part of your hair, so meaning they have gone through wear and tear compared to the rest part of your hair, so they are relatively weaker to the rest part of your hair. Now, when it comes to hair breakage and length retention, keeping the ends of your hair is the focus, because this is the part that usually break off due to how weak they are. Now, if your hair has been stuck at the same length for years, it means that the ends of your hair are weak and constantly breaking off, even though your hair is growing from the roots. Now, if you can find a way to keep these ends, you will visibly see your hair getting longer, and this is where protective styles come in. The goal of protective styles is to protect your ends and to keep your ends tucked away. Now, all protective styles are low manipulation styles, but not all low manipulation styles are protective styles. So meaning that apart from the fact that protective styles are low manipulation, they are going to be protecting your ends as well. Low manipulation styles, on the other hand, do not necessarily have to protect your ends. So this is how to tell the difference between a protective style and a low manipulation style. A style that targets your ends, a style that protects your ends, is a protective style. For example, styles like braids, twists, cornrows, buns, these are protective styles. But a style such as a ponytail is a low manipulation style, but it is not a protective style because your ends are still very much exposed. So when it comes to using protective styles to grow your hair longer, you want to make sure that what you are installing is a protective style and not just a low manipulation style. Moving on, another thing you want to do is to start from the basics. Now, especially if you are a beginner, you want to make sure that you are starting from basic protective styles. Styles like braids, twists, mini braids, mini twists, cornrows, wigs, or even buns. Avoid every complicated protective style. This is because you want to start from something simple, something you know you can keep up with, something you know that you'll be able to do and replicate over and over. After getting a hang of the basics, later on you can decide to incorporate more complicated protective styles into your regimen. But when you are just starting out, make sure that you are starting from the basics. Moving on, another thing you want to do is to avoid the extremes. And again, especially if you are a beginner, you want to make sure that you are avoiding extremes when it comes to your protective styles. So for example, when you are installing braids or twists, make sure that the braids are not too big and they are not too tiny. So no micro braids, no million braids, and no gigantic braids as well. So whatever style you are installing, try as much as possible to make sure that they are average when you are just starting out. As you grow older in your hair growth journey and you decide to observe what your hair loves, you may decide to play around with other options, but when you are just starting out, make sure that you are starting from the average option. Now, this applies to how tight your protective styles are as well. You want to make sure that you are not installing styles that are too tight, because when you do this, the styles are going to be pulling your hair strands and pulling them out from your scalp, out from your follicles, and you are going to be losing your hair to traction alopecia. So instead of getting results, positive results from your protective styles, you are going to be losing hair to your protective styles. And at the end of the day, you will be shocked, or you may be wondering why other people are getting positive results from their protective styles, while you, on the other hand, are getting negative results from your protective styles. The tightness of your protective styles has a role to play in this. On the other side of the coin, you want to make sure that your protective styles are not too loose as well, because if they are too loose, you may not be able to carry them for as long as you initially wanted. Moving on, another thing you want to do is to pick a duration. So make a decision about how long you want to be leaving your protective styles in for. Now, I usually recommend long-term protective styles, because long-term protective styles specifically is what helps me grow my hair to butt length. In fact, I leave in my protective styles for as long as 2 to 4 months. But if you are just starting out and you don't usually carry your protective styles this long, you can gradually increase the duration of your protective styles and watch out for how your hair responds as you are increasing the duration. Now, if you've been carrying your protective styles for 2 weeks, your next protective style you can attempt 3 weeks. And if you can successfully do that and you are able to take care of your hair while doing it, you got positive results like the takedown was seamless and everything, then you can attempt 4 weeks. After 4 weeks, if you can handle it as well, then you move on to 5 weeks, just like that until you get to the duration that you want. But basically, you need to have a target in mind whenever you install your protective styles. If you install your protective style and just decide to wing it and go with the flow, trust me sis, in as little as 1 week, you get bored already and feel like taking down that style. So you need to set a goal in mind even before you install the protective style. For example, you can decide to say, okay, this protective style that I want to install, I want to carry it for 1 month or 2 months. And then after installing it, you try as much as possible to hit that target. But if you install it without a duration in mind, without a target in mind, and just decide to wing it, trust me, you will get bored. But when you have a target, even though you get bored, you'll be less likely to take down the style and push through because now you have a target. Now you have a goal that you want to hit. So this is why it is very, very important for you to pick a duration when it comes to installing your protective styles. Moving on, another thing you want to do is to have a protective styling routine. Now, this involves a pre-protective styling routine, what you do during the protective style itself, and a post-protective styling routine. So a protective styling journey can be stressful for your hair because during this period, your hair is going to be tucked away. So you are not going to get the opportunity to deeply cleanse your scalp or clarify your hair or deeply nourish and deep condition your hair. So you want to make sure that your hair gets all these before installing the protective style. So this is where your pre-protective styling routine comes in. So you want to make sure that you shampoo your hair, you clarify your hair, your scalp is clean, your hair is properly deep conditioned, your hair is properly moisturized before installing the protective style. Now, during the protective styling itself, you are going to have a routine to maintain that protective style. And this includes your moisturizing routine or how you even sleep with the protective styles at night. So you need to make sure that you are still on top of your game when it comes to using your satin or silk bonnets at night or your pillowcases to go to sleep. So the fact that you are on a protective style does not excuse you from using a hair bonnet, okay? Because even though your hair is in a protective style, your hair strands are still going to be exposed in that protective style. So this is why even when you go to bed at night, you are still going to be using your silk or satin bonnets or your pillowcases. Now, moving on to the post-protective styling routine. I always say that the most important part of protective styling is the takedown. One simple mistake during your takedown can literally ruin your months of hard work. So this is why how you take down your protective styles is very important as well. So you want to make sure that you are gentle while detangling, you have conditioner on your hair to give you extra sleep while detangling. You want to make sure that you are patient because it can definitely take a lot of patience, especially if it is a very long-term protective style and you have a lot of knots and tangles. So this is where patience is key, because if you are not patient and you just rip through everything with a comb without detangling gently, you will lose everything you have gotten from that protective style. So this is why patience is key. Then after that, you want to make sure that you replenish your hair again, because while in the protective style, your hair was starved of nutrients, your hair was starved of a deep clean. So after taking out your protective styles, you would have to shampoo or clarify your hair, deep condition, moisturize, and straighten your hair again. So this is the basis of having a protective styling routine. But a protective styling routine itself is a very broad topic, so I'm probably going to make a detailed video and talk in depth about each single step of this routine, your pre-protective styling routine, during the protective style, and your post-protective styling routine. Moving on, another thing you have to do is stick to it. You have to be consistent with your protective styling. You can't install a protective style once and when you don't get results from it, you just abandon the whole thing. That's not how it works. You need consistency. Your hair growth rate per month is going to range from 1/4 of an inch to 1 inch every single month. So even with your protective styling, it means that in 3 months, you cannot see more than 3 inches of new growth and length retention. So in order to retain the maximum length possible and see very visible progress, you are going to have to be consistent with your protective styles. In fact, consistency and sticking with protective styling over a very long period method, and yes, is what actually got me to butt length. So if you take protective styling as a hobby or something you do when you are in the mood, you are not going to get the best results from it. Or if you go on protective style challenges only when you feel motivated, you are not going to get the best results from it. I am not saying that you have to put your hair in protective styles 24/7, but make sure that majority of the time your ends are protected, because that is the focus. Even though you don't want to install box braids or even mini twists or use wigs, something as simple as a bun is still a protective style. Like I said earlier, as long as your ends are protected, you are good. Moving on, another thing you want to do is know the difference between hair shedding and hair breakage. Now, some people get scared after taking down their long-term protective styles and say that the hair loss is massive. Now, usually your hair sheds about 50 to 100 strands every single day, and that is absolutely normal. Every single hair strand on your hair goes through a hair growth cycle, and when it has completed that cycle, it sheds off and a new hair strand grows out of that follicle. Now, different hair strands on your head are in different phases of this cycle. So meaning you're not going to wake up one morning and your hair is going to be bald and like everything has completed its hair growth cycle and everything is going to fall off and then your hair growth cycle is going to start all over again. No. Different hair strands are in different phases, so you are going to be losing different hair strands at different points in time. Now, per day, you are expected to lose about 50 to 100 strands every single day. Now, imagine that you live in your protective styles for 3 months, that's 90 days. Multiply 50 times 90, that is about 4,500 hair strands, and I'm pretty sure that that hair that you saw that you are probably worried about is not up to 4,500 hair strands. So there's absolutely no need to get worried. As long as it's hair shedding, you are good to go. Now, on the other hand, if it is hair breakage, then you can be worried. And knowing the difference between broken hair and shed hair is a very broad topic. I'm probably going to talk about it in another video in depth, but basically shed hair is long, while broken hair is shorter. And for hair shedding, you are going to see a white bulb at one end of the hair strand, while hair that was lost to hair breakage does not have this. So apart from the size of the ball, you also need to examine the hair strands and make sure that the hair you are losing is to shedding and not to breakage. If it is to shedding, you are good to go. But if it's to hair breakage, then you may need to re-examine your routine. So the problem could be either in the protective style itself, or your routine while in the protective style, or how you cared for your hair before the protective style or after the protective style, or even how tight the protective styles were. So these are all things that are worth considering if what you lost is from breakage and not from hair shedding. And by the way, guys, if you know your goal is to grow your hair longer and healthier very fast, and you want the simplest and easiest way to do this, like a step-by-step daily guide, then get the Ultimate Hair Growth Guide. This is basically a done for you guide, a guide that contains a daily 30 days hair growth routine. So what you need to do on each and every single day is broken down for you on the first day, second day, third day, just like that up to the 30th day. And you know the good part about this, you can recycle it. So you can basically just take this as your month-to-month hair growth routine. And this routine is so simple to follow. You guys know that I like my routines very simple. In fact, I run from anything complicated, because I feel like when things are complicated, it is very hard to be consistent with them. So that is why I try as much as possible to make sure that all my routines are very simple, because this way they are easy to stick to. And this is what I made sure to give you guys in the Ultimate Hair Growth Guide. Apart from the routine, it also has product recommendations. So if you have been struggling about what product to get, what shampoo to get, deep conditioner, protein or moisturizing deep conditioner, hair oils, like every single category of hair products you can think of are basically in there. So you don't have to stress yourself. So you just have to make your pick from the many options in the guide. It also contains solutions to hair breakage, split ends, dry hair. So if you are struggling with all these and you want to stop your hair breakage, you want to get your hair soft, you want to grow your hair longer, and you want a very simple step-by-step routine to help you through this, then get the Ultimate Hair Growth Guide. It is linked down in the description box below. And you know what, guys, protective styling is included as part of the routine in the guide. So you see, I don't preach what I don't do, and I don't preach what I don't recommend. Okay, so everything is literally in there. You just have to copy and paste on your hair. Like I said, it is linked down in the description box below. Okay, so yeah guys, that is it for today's video. That is basically it for how to use protective styling to grow your hair longer very fast. So if you know that you are serious about using protective styles to grow your hair longer, just make sure to follow every single thing I mentioned in this video. And guys, you will be amazed. In fact, you'll be shocked at how your hair will transform. Okay, so yeah guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you are new here and you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing to join the family, and don't forget to turn on the post notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notified whenever I upload a new video. Okay, so yeah guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.